Good afternoon, LinkedIn friends, Profoundly Nation. Welcome to a special announcement. Really excited to be here with our fearless leader, Brian Garvey. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Big day, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Big day. Big day for sure. Uh, and part of this is it kind of feels like a big day every day right now. As inbound's coming up, AI is moving so rapidly. Um, and we really like see that as a part of the mission overall when it comes to HubSpot Help. Like that includes being able to manage all the things that clients are going through, the pros, like all this. We're all connected, right? Um, and we are trying our best to address that up front, not say that, okay, just let's solve this little problem over here. So we've been thinking about this for a while, and we're going to talk about uh, Profoundly Labs today, which I'm so excited to announce today as a place to really harness this kind of collective energy that we see happening on LinkedIn in the community, just individual pros, agencies, HubSpotters themselves, like stepping up in all these kind of, let's say, less than coordinated ways, right? Which I think this only works in the HubSpot ecosystem where you have people just of their own accord just want to step up and help people, right? But the fact of the matter is we need like 100 more Kyle Jepsons. We're going to actually educate people on HubSpot while all this change is happening. So Profoundly Labs at its core is going to be that space to say, we got you. Like, come on over. We don't know exactly what it's always going to look like, but we know we've got to figure this out. Let's experiment. Let's help each other. And let's move forward. So super excited to announce that. And I would love for you to share. Uh, we've been doing Profoundly for a few months now, talking to people about it for longer than that, obviously. Um, but I'd love for you to share like what we've seen and maybe a little reminder of the mission of Profoundly as a platform and why Profoundly Labs, makes so much sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love your push to create more Kyle Jepsons. I think he's working on that actively as we speak.
That's absolutely true, actually.
Yeah. So congratulations to the Jepsons. Yeah, profoundly though. Super excited to be here. Obviously, we want to make it ridiculously easy for people to get the HubSpot help that they need from the experts who can help them. So that's the mission that we're on and that we've been making progress against. Super excited. I think when we think back to where we started, I think there was this idea that like there are a lot of people who need help and there are a lot of incredible experts out there who can help them, and it's can be a challenge sometimes to sort of find one another and grow better than ever together. So I think Profoundly is making tremendous progress there. Along the way, I think we saw, right, firsthand, as you said, this ecosystem is really special. We've got some really special experts who are doing incredible things to help individual users and customers and partners and providers and all of the things grow better in a somewhat uncoordinated way. And that's hard, right? It's sort of when you're doing all the things yourself all the time, it's a lot of learning curves, a lot of steep learning curves. And I think we, thought, well, how could we potentially do this better and help others do it better and easier? So here we are.
Yeah. And like you mentioned that challenge, right? This is really what we feel this missing piece is like, how do we help all these just mission driven, passionate experts in the ecosystem, like sustainable pathways to where you can actually build a career around what you know and your expertise in a way that you want to, right? Like when we were doing, I remember when we were doing our voice of customer interviews, whether it was um, uh, HubSpot customers themselves or the experts, there's this, common theme of there's so much content like out there, but it's all over the place. I don't have time for it. Um, Meanwhile, 3 out of 6 hubs, arguably, people don't know that much about. Like, we don't have enough knowledge about those hubs in the ecosystem for people even to consume in the first place. So this education gap as HubSpot just blasts forward, right? And now, I mean, I think at some point we have to thank them for doing so because I think we're really well positioned in this AI first world, at least as they put it. um they've built this magnificent product machine to just like keep powering forward, keep shipping, but it creates a clear knowledge gap about what HubSpot is, what it can do. um and that challenge we hear on both the user side and the pro side. On the pro side though, no matter how bad you want to help, and this is why I started with, we need more Kyle Jepsons. I say that because Kyle Jepson's one job is to talk about HubSpot and to teach people about HubSpot. He can show up every day because that's his job. That's nobody else's job. Like not one person has that like income equals like I teach people about HubSpot only. For us as experts, it's always like hat number 2 or 3, right? After the project work, after the consulting coaching. And that's where you can push to get it done and share on LinkedIn and create content, but it's so hard. And it's like most things we know with sales and marketing, as soon as the client work like heats up and grows in volume, which usually we want to happen, it's hard to make time for that that content and that kind of knowledge sharing. Um, Even though a lot of the experts I know, and a lot of this is like you attract people that you want to hang out with and kind of think like you. And a lot of the experts that I talk to, like they'd rather not have to prioritize the project work. They would love to just create content and like share because they know how important that part is too.
Mhm.
So big part of the mission not only is to you know help Profoundly as a platform be the go-to place for HubSpot help, like of any kind. um Help create careers that are solely focused on like the knowledge sharing part that's so important. And we see this like Substack is, the creator economy. Like, how do we tap into that from a B2B perspective and help fill that gap in a profitable way that doesn't feel like we're having to make sacrifices and all the usual things that come up with like having to be an individual entrepreneur and things like that. So,
Yeah.
what have you seen? Like saying that we've tried some things, we've done some things, some successes, some improvements to be made, but like, what has like why? If I can put it like this, why is this easy for you to get behind?
Well,
Right?
because it
Why
works.
does it-
Yeah, we've seen it work, right? So, but I wonder, Chris, before we dive into that, like, would it make sense to tell the world like what it is, what
Yeah,
Lab?
yeah, that would make sense. And we're gonna share a blog article after this. It kind of goes into some more details, but at the end of the day, we want to hear from you. Like, join the community, like, reach out to us. Again, like, we're creating space around Profoundly Media Network, right? A lot of the content that I've been doing over the last year and a half, like, is not just for fun as much as it might seem like that. Like, really trying to create a space to make media that can keep up, with the pace of change and help people keep informed, stay informed. Uh, that's not for everybody. I've found not everybody likes to go live, but we all tend to understand the value of events and scheduled events. Sometimes webinars, sometimes workshops, sometimes data summit that we're doing later this month. So kind of channeling that expertise in an event style way. So Profoundly Events, and then the Profoundly Creator Collective, which is probably the most exciting thing, but probably the hardest thing to figure out in terms of what that's exactly going to look like. So yeah, so we've been trying some things and we've seen some stuff work, but that's Profoundly Labs. And I just want to highlight two things before you dive into what you've seen, like where this is coming from, why I'm so passionate about it. Last year, and this has been on my desk, and I'm staring at this every day. This Ship It calendar from Seth Godin. I haven't been able to get past April 30th, 2024. Because here's what it says. And this was about like a month and a half into me doing Let's Build. I get to this page. It says, did you publish? They, whoever they is, might be AI at this point, made it easy for you to raise your hand. They made it easy for you to put your words online, your song in the cloud, your building designs, business plans, and videos out in the world. They made it easy for you to be generous, to connect, and to lead. Did you? Maybe today's the day. And for me, Profoundly Labs is making sure people who want to share expertise and publish, like every day is that day. Like if we can help it, that's what we're trying to achieve here.
I love that, Chris. And I think you've lived that from that day forward, probably before then to now.
Yeah. Sure. And like fast forward, right, literally almost. I've been hearing for the last few months, started at AI Summit, just heard a podcast from some really successful people, right, that are talking about how everything is changing and moving from this world of like intense focus on a single thing to figure out agility and execution, like at all costs. Like that is the new moat. I keep hearing that over and over. And it's a dramatic change from what we're used to in terms of marketing and content calendaring and pre-planning and all these things we're used to in the ecosystem. So hearing that and seeing these 1-person, 2-person, 3-person companies just blow up because they've got the tools to do it and they're not encumbered by these, more traditional infrastructures. It's clearly there's a path for that. And we have all these individuals that know what they're doing. They know what the expertise is. So how can we, support them and create the space for them to realize, that same kind of success?
Yeah. Sort of rewinding back, like I think at the beginning of this journey, whenever it was for each of us, maybe a little bit different, like you have this observation that you get these individual experts, and historically there was a path, right? To your point, like it was the traditional path. You go, you get a job, you get promoted, great. And there's so much more that's possible, right? Like I think now with Profoundly, we wanted to enable experts to be able to work on what they want, when they want, for who they want, with who they want, whenever they want, like all the things. And it should be, I think we see it's a huge unlock for folks that, are looking for something more. As we leaned into that, to your point about like what's working, like I think we see experts thriving, right? It's sort of a new era, the era of the individual expert. And I think it's been incredible to have the opportunity to support that, with the marketplace and with Profoundly. And now with Labs being able to give those experts, the resources and support they need to really thrive in a whole new way, going out and creating content. And at the center of all of this, which is one of the things that I just love about what we're doing, is the desire to help people. Like our experts, wake up every day thinking about like, how can I help? How can I go out, and whether that's fingers to keyboard, working on a project with a a client or someone who needs them, or creating content that, lifts up the entire community and ecosystem, like all the ways. Incredible things are happening, and they're already happening. I think labs, to a certain extent, is sort of the recognition of like, hey, there's something incredible here. Like, let's put a name on it so that others know, how to find it and access it. And yeah, it's a really exciting time, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it's so magical right now to see, because like again, we still have HubSpot customers that were a big point of this is like helping the HubSpot customers get more out of HubSpot, grow better, right? And like when it continually gets easier because this expert thing is happening over on Profoundly, like to match them like with the right person. Like you don't have to worry about like, is this gonna work? Like, do I want to do this project? Like both sides. Like just getting to that so much faster is really fun to enable and activate. Um, and a couple of things to highlight, like of things that have been working, you know, and I want to take this like we're doing group chats for a while. Like those are coming back into the community because it's not always just about the individual experts. It's because I've found that even the big guns, right, they're trying to figure this out too, right? Even HubSpot themselves, they built everything based on this SEO engine that now has to change into this community enabled infrastructure. And they've got to be okay with not controlling everything on Reddit and LinkedIn. And like, how do you enable that without owning it? Right. And I think a big part of that is just working together in new ways, like collaborating. And we've already seen that culture applied to the marketplace, right? Where jobs come in, multiple pros see it, they go right into the community and start talking about who's the best person to solve for this? How would you solve for it? This is how I would solve for it. Like that kind of stuff is unheard of in these situations, and it's so beautiful to watch. Um, and again, just activating that. Casey's been having a lot of fun with value first scoring and trying to help people with the lead scoring. Get the Value First Data Summit at the end of this month, where again, 20 plus experts inside of a month, not like guaranteeing perfection here, folks, but like inside of a month, we can all identify, look, there's a data problem. Like, can we make a valiant effort to try and solve for it? Probably one of the few things you can control ahead of inbound, where you might be surprised. Like, can we take care of the data? Can we try and solve for that? So we got like a bunch of experts coming together inside of a month. Me and Clement came up with that after doing some content. And that's us trying to show, like, can we act quickly? Can we be agile? So much of this is time is of the essence right now. And it's moving fast. We got to find ways to move fast with it. And I'm so grateful that we do have Profoundly as a platform
Yeah.
to really have that space available to this community.
Yeah. I think one of the cool things, like to your point about moving fast, I think we to a certain extent enable compulsions, right? With our experts, I think I think about compulsions as like, if you leave someone alone, like what do they do on their own? And like, it's a pretty interesting signal of like where their passions are and so on. And I think if you leave our experts alone, like they do really interesting things. You create content, as an example. We have experts who build agents and AI, right? Like as their compulsion. And like you're raising up the community. Our AI experts are lifting up the community, helping others build agents, like creating the AI equivalent of the Kyle Jepsons. Like, I think I would never have thought that I would be building agents. And
I
here I am.
know, look at you. Like, I'm so proud.
And so like the community works, I think it's a supportive environment, and people help one another, and you learn to really grow better than ever together. I think we're living that. So join the community.
Yes, join the community. And I've already mentioned a couple things. Obviously, Inbound is coming up. Uh, the Profoundly and Hub Search together at the booth. Just trying to show up there in person the same way we're talking about here, like getting people, making sure they know how easy it is to get help, with their HubSpot challenges, projects, audits, discovery, like whatever you want to call it, right? That's part of the challenge that like HubSpot is very ambiguous. So just show up and, just tell us what's on your mind. And we're getting real good at figuring out how to go from there because we learned really quickly most people don't really know how to talk about their HubSpot challenges. But we've seen some great success stories coming from those same places. And we're just trying to scale that kind of, across the platform. And that's personally how I think about this, in terms of you can't always put your finger on what's making you uncomfortable right now. There's so much uncertainty. And can we just create that safe space to work together and move forward on stuff? And really excited on this lead up to Inbound. And can only imagine what's going to happen after HubSpot, I think, shocks the world with their AI first approach. I promise it's in it's in all of our best interests. They're doing some amazing things, and it's going to enable a lot of what we're talking about here, like content at scale, education at scale, while still curating and making it consumable, right? So very excited to see what transpires over the next few weeks and through the rest of this year. And if you want to know more, you can find us in person, at Inbound. Join the community though first. Everybody has a voice. Again, like our if we can create the space for just people to speak up and raise their hand and say they want to participate, then I think half the job is already done. And really excited to see where this goes. And I want to thank you, Brian, and the rest of the Profoundly team for just helping make this space possible. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Chris, from all of us. Yeah, no, very excited. Join the community and excited to grow better than ever together.
Until next time, folks, thanks for hanging out with us and have a great day.